We moved from the house, the farmhouse, back to Oaklawn, which was a standalone house. It wasn't an apartment.
And so I remember moving there. And one story I remember is when I was really small and things started missing. Little things. Little things started missing. Daddy's watch, a spoon, a fork, a toy, whatever. Would Mom ask Daddy, what happened to, or where's your watch? It was on the table. And they couldn't figure this out. So I guess it went on for a week, couple of weeks like that. Well, then one day they were watching me, and I went to the front door, and it was open at that time. So I took the door and I closed it. Behind the door was where the doorknob had knocked a hole in the wall. And I had been using that wall and that hole to dump a bunch of stuff. So Daddy got a claw hanger or a hammer and started going through, and down there was everything that they had missing was there on the floor. I got in trouble. I remember that.
You started dumping those things in the wall?
I guess I thought it was my hidey hole, but yeah, Daddy's watch. I think that was the most expensive thing I dumped down there. Other than that, it was just bits and pieces, toys, whatever. But they found me. I'd opened the door and found that hole, and that's where I had dumped that. Daddy had gone to work, and there was storm warnings out. We had just a itty bitty tiny TV that we could listen on, or radios back then. And that's what we were listening to. And there were storms out. Of course, there was me and three other, my brothers and sisters. And it got really, really bad. I mean, real bad. And we thought there was going to be a tornado, but there wasn't a tornado or anything like that. So Mama said, with thinking that there was going to be a tornado that came where we were, she knew that right behind our house, there was a big ditch. And water run under it. I think they were culverts, where roads was built over it, and cars could drive over it, but there's a big round thing, and then it went into a ditch. And Mom thought, if there is a tornado coming, she had always heard, get down to the lowest place that you could get. So she grabs Lonetta, and she grabs Tommy by the arm, and she says, get Donnis, and she said, follow me. Well, we start out the door because we were going to go into that culvert to miss the tornado. And so we, all four of us together, and wind blowing, rain coming down 90 to nothing, and just can't hardly see where the culvert would be. But Mama got up to the door, and when she got up to the door, she opened it and slammed back in her face again. I remember that because she said, that almost got my hand, because I remember her shaking her hand. And she tried it again. She said that she heard a voice at that time. I get choked up sometimes on some of these things. She said she heard the voice, if you take those kids out there, you're all going to die. And so Mama turned around, and I remember I just looking up at her, like, here we were headed out 90 to nothing to do, to go down to this hole and all that. And all of a sudden we stopped, and she took us and she put us to bed, and nothing happened except that storm drain, because the rain had flooded. And sure enough, if she'd taken her little family out in that storm drain, we probably all would have drowned.
We would have drowned.
Yeah, we would have drowned. I mean, we were brought up to be afraid of storms, I think.
Mom
and Dad
you
was.
Were.
Oh, I know I was. I didn't like them.
And Daddy was. And Daddy's mother was. I don't think Mom was so much. I didn't get that impression.
I don't know.
Could be wrong.
Okay.
Well, that reminds me that when we moved to the house on Jefferson Street, Mom said, and Dad agreed 100%, they wanted a storm cellar. It didn't have one at the time. And so not very long after that, Dad dug a storm cellar. And you asked earlier, could we afford them? Well, yes, because they only had you at that time.
Well, that's true.
They probably had a little more money to spend on stuff like that. Okay, so we came to Cheney then. We moved to Cheney in 1954, right after sometime around my birthday, which is December 24th. And then I turned 5 that year, and I started kindergarten in January, and Phyllis started in same time in first grade. And I was afraid to walk to school, but Phyllis held my hand and we walked together. Because Mom, we didn't have a second car. And I remember walking to school.
We were a long ways from school being two little girls.
6 blocks.
Yeah.
And we walked.
We were a long ways.
All the other kids walked too. But do you remember going to Cheney grade school the first time? Do you remember that first day and who your teacher was or anything like that?
I don't. I try. Wasn't Mrs. Bertrand? I remember that. We each had a cubby hole and we each had a mat and we had to lay down. Now, I couldn't tell you what music we listened to or she wanted to listen to. She would always be sitting there and all around was these mats and boys and girls, and we'd go to sleep. I mean, I don't know if we had just big days or maybe it was the walk from our house, but we'd end up taking a nap. And then I remember we'd wake up from our nap and would have graham crackers and milk. I do remember that.
It was first grade, but I was in
grade.
kindergarten. You didn't get to go to kindergarten.
Well, now that you say that, what did we do that in first grade too?
Yes, we did that all through grade school. All through.
Okay.
Probably up until 3rd or 4th grade.
Okay. Probably going to see me in here rolling my eyes a lot. I'm doing that not for the camera. It's just that's how I'm finding that memory. I'm looking for my memory up in my head.
I have to tell myself not to do that. Yeah, it's up there somewhere.
So if you see me rolling my eyes a lot, it's like, okay, I know that story's there. Where is it?